If you've had trouble landing a remote job, you're not the only one. Over the last couple of months, I've applied for 80 to 90 different remote roles, and I've only gotten asked to interview for 2 of those. Through this experience, I've gotten to learn a lot about the current job market, and I have some theories on why it's so hard to land a remote role right now. If you've been keeping up with the job market over the last couple months, it's no secret that remote work is here to stay. But whether or not you believe that remote work is ideal, it's become a large part of corporate culture and it's completely changed office standards. Even though only around 16% of companies globally are actually fully remote. Lately, I've been seeing some news stories from media outlets like CNBC and New York Times claiming that Americans are not returning to work as quickly as other countries are. And most of these stories suggest that the reason for this is because Americans have bigger homes and they're generally more lazy and their employers are less likely to want to hurt their feelings. While it's true that Americans do have bigger houses than most other countries, I actually completely disagree with the theories presented in these articles. But before I explain why, please like and subscribe to stay updated on the channel. Okay, to me, it's obvious that the main reason that the US has a higher percentage of remote jobs is because remote employees are usually better and more affordable than in-person employees. And I think this is true even for companies that are stuck leasing a giant office building. Also, it's clear that most companies prioritize their earnings above the attitudes of their employees. And this is obvious due to large companies like Google laying off entire divisions just to boost their quarterly earnings by a few points. Does it seem like business owners are afraid to make their employees unhappy right now? It's clear that the power is in the hands of the businesses in the job market right now, especially the American businesses that can afford to pay higher amounts for a replacement employee than other countries. So contrary to what the media is saying, I really don't believe that the reason that Americans are slower to return to office is because they have bigger houses or more pet lizards to walk or whatever. It's better for the business to hire remotely. This is not only because it will give them the option to find a more talented candidate based in the US, but also because they will have the option to contract a much more affordable worker from overseas. And that's the real reason that less US companies are back to office. And on the other hand, there are a larger number of less viable businesses in markets outside the US that either don't realize this or can't afford to pay high enough to attract talent from outside of their local area. Now, if you're someone who's hoping to land a remote role, things are not looking great. With remote roles getting hundreds of applications per day, things are really competitive. By opening a job to remote applicants, things get really competitive for the candidates, and only the very best will get selected to actually interview. Like I mentioned in the intro, I've applied to 80 or 90 remote positions in the last few months, and I've only gotten asked to interview for 2 of those. In addition to remote roles being competitive to begin with, there have already been over 50,000 tech workers laid off in the US just this year, which adds even more competitors to the application process. So if you actually want to land a remote job, the best way that I know how to do this is through a personal connection. Maybe you have a friend or acquaintance who works at a company that is hiring remote workers right now, and you can reach out to them to see if they can talk to the recruiter or hiring manager to see if you can go straight to the interview process. Other types of roles that have been more successful in getting interviews for are hybrid roles. See, hybrid roles are a great second option because they have some of the benefits of remote work while being less competitive because you're not competing with everybody on the planet. So I know that most people are hoping for a remote role, but I would actually consider applying for hybrid roles as they are way less competitive. And one other way that you can work remotely is to freelance, actually. This is what I'm currently doing, and it not only allows me to work from home, but it gives me the ability to make my own schedule. So best of luck if you're hoping to land a remote role sometime in the near future. I know that job switches and career changes can be confusing for most people, so I made another video where I explain how I have clarity in all of my career decisions. Please click here if you want to watch that video.